Salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott, and you, my dear friends, have wandered onto the prog corner. Oh, the algorithm is treating you right today. Yes, indeed. Welcome back to Nektar Week. We're going to close out this thing by ranking the Nektar albums. All 16 of them, man. I love this band. I've always loved this band ever since I heard Remember the Future back in 1974, 1975, something like that. This band was formed. These are UK guys, but they were formed in Hamburg, Germany in 1969. I guess they figured they'd, do the whole Beatles thing and play German clubs for drunk American servicemen. It seemed to work out just fine. The band was formed by Roy Albrighton, Alan Taft Freeman, Derek Moe Moore, and Ron Howden. And early on, they were joined by two guys that didn't play, but did like lights and stuff like that, Mick Brockett and Keith Walters. So a third of the lineup didn't perform. That's really cool. I actually like that a lot. So we're going to be delving into all their albums. They have 14 regular studio albums, a covers album, and an album as something called New Nektar. Hey, it's got Nektar on it, so we're going to do it. These guys were, doing great in the 70s, and then they broke up like in 1980. Came back in 2000, put out an album in 2001 called Prodigal Son. Then they reformed with their original lineup for Nearfest in 2002. And then in 2007, their manager, a guy named Roy Clay, got arrested. I guess he stole a bunch of their money. Not cool. Not cool at all, man. Another hard luck story for a great band that never got a whole lot of luck. 3 of the 4 founding members are no longer with us, so RIP to Roy Albrighton, who died in July of 2016. Alan Freeman died in August of 2021, and Ron Howden just left us September of 2023. RIP to those 3 amazing individuals. But anyway, without any further ado, man, I'm ranking all 16 of the Nektar albums. Let's do it right now at number 16. It's the aforementioned covers album, The Spoonful in Time. Technically, the band's 12th album came out in 2012. And, if you've listen to this list of guest musicians on this album. This album should be great. You've got Billy Sherwood, Steve Howe, Billy Sheehan, Patrick Moraz, Mark Kelly, Jeff Downs, Edgar Frossa, Mel Collins, Derek Sherinian, Rod Argent, Ginger Baker, David Cross, Jerry Goodman, Rick Wakeman, Bobby Kimball, Ian Pace, and Nick Turner. And this album's bad. Particularly the Rush cover. They do Spirit of the Radio. They do Africa, Dreamweaver, I'm Not in Love, Wish You Were Here, Fly Like an Eagle. It's not good. Anyway, at number 15, came out the next year, 2013. This was their 13th album called Time Machine. And Billy Sherwood is now a regular member of the band. At this point, it was Roy with Ron Howden and a guy named Klaus Hanach, who would be the integral part of that new Nektar lineup. Couple good songs on here. This thing does sound like one of your typical Billy Sherwood joints, his typical production. He did produce this album. Juggernaut's cool. Better Ways cool, but man, the second song on this album is called Set Me Free Amigo. One of the worst things I've ever heard. It's terrible at number 14. Yeah, this was the comeback album, Prodigal Son, in 2001, the band's 9th album. At this point, it was really just Roy and Taft Freeman with Ray Hardwick on drums. Hardwick. This album is kind of a soft rock. There's a lot of blues rock in it, at times making me think of Dire Straits. It starts out with a 9-minute song called Terminus Oh My, and that gives you an idea because it's just not great. Really, the only thing I actually love off this album is the last song, Day 9, I think is a really cool song, at number 13. It's their 11th album, Book of Days. This came out in 2008. And again, it's Roy and Ron Howden. The lineup here is augmented by Steve Adams on guitar, Steve Mattern on keyboards, and Desha Danaho on bass. Couple keepers here, little funkier album, kind of, how Remember the Future had a little funky groove going on. This has got a little bit of that. King of the Deep is cool. Where Are You Now is cool. But there's a song on here called Dr. Cool. That's not cool. It's not a good song at number 12. It's New Nektar and Megalomania. This came out in 2018, so I'm counting this as their 14th album. Klaus Henach is kind of the leader of the band here. Roy was no longer with us, but his son plays drums, Che Albrighton. And the band is rounded out by Tom Fry on bass and Alex Hoffmeyer on guitar. This is not a bad album at all. They probably should have called this something else, right? They probably should have given this band a different name, but apparently at the time you had a German Nektar and a US-based Nektar, and there was some bad blood. There was a schism there. Either way, this is not a bad album. There's a song on here called Bad Angel I like. The title track is good. Enough is good. Actually not a bad record. If they had come out as a whole different band, I think people might have paid a little bit more attention to this, but as it stands, I got it at number 12. At number 11, let's go to 1980 and the band's 8th album, Man on the Moon. After their 7th album, Roy had left the band, and then he came back for this one. So this is like a comeback album for Roy Albrighton. He's joined by Taft Freeman and David Prater's on drums and David Bowie's bass player. You know, Carmine Rojas, the guy that played on Let's Dance and that whole tour. Just amazing, yeah. Really, really cool. Some good songs on here. This is more of an AOR album, though. At times, I'm really reminded more of Supertramp than Old Nektar, but Too Young to Die is really good. Far Away is good, and there's a song called We on here that I actually really, really like. Not bad. You know, it's got that 80s production thing going on, so it's not great either. At number 10, its predecessor, Magic is a Child from 1977. This is where things started to go wrong. Roy's not in the band at this point, and you got a guy named Dave Nelson singing. This is kind of a American sounding album. Well, Dave was an American guy. The band was decamping to America at this point, so there's definitely an AOR radio-friendly sound to this. And yeah, that is Brooke Shields on the cover, but there's a couple real good songs on here. Away from Asgard starts the album out. It kind of sounds like Old Nektar. Train from Nowhere I like is a nice track, but the best thing on here is a song called Listen. Real, real good track. Fantastic song. Absolutely love it. At number 9, it's Evolution from 2004, the band's 10th album. This was a good album. Of the reunion albums with Roy Albrighton in it, this is the keeper. So you've got Roy, Taft Freeman, Ron Howden, and they are joined by Randy Dembo on bass. He would stay in the band for a little while. And man, there's some good tracks on here. The album opens with Camouflage to White. Real, real good. They come down a little bit for Old Mother Earth, which is fantastic. Phased by the Storm is a real good song. Dancing into the Void's great, but the longest song on here is called The Debate, and that's just kind of forgettable, kind of disappointing there. It's still a commercial record, still doesn't sound super duper proggy, but there are some proggy moments, and it's actually a solid album. At number 8, it's the new one, Mission to Mars. The band's 16th album. Yeah, so Ron's no longer with us, so you've got Jay Tamo playing drums, and Derek Moe Moore with Rich Chandler and Kendall Scott and Marianne Castello. This is a good album, man. Welcome back, Nektar, man. I'm really enjoying this one. 4 songs, all of them kind of longish. It's a short album overall, only like 34 minutes, but I dig it. One Day High, One Day Low. That's my song. I love it all day. Amazing. At number 7, it's The Other Side. This is the predecessor album. This was the first album of this lineup, first album that Derek Moe had been back in the band since 1977. So yeah, this is a real nice comeback record. You've got Derek with Ron Howden, Randy Dembo, Rich Chandler, and Klanda. I don't know how to say Rich's last name. Klanda, I think. He's that dude from Fire Ballet. And Randy Dembo in the band for this album. This is a good record, man. This is a lot of the stuff that Rich and Mo and the band were working on after Roy left the band. And this stuff never saw the light of day, although a lot of this stuff actually got played live. Skyrider, The Devil's Door was played live. Why Can't I Be More Like You? This is a good record, man. Very, very solid record. Pointed the way to the new one, Mission to Mars. Fantastic. I really like it. Maybe a little long. The only drawback, maybe 10 minutes too long. But You guys know what the top 6 are. I mean, the classic Nektar 70s discography. It's just kind of what order it's going to be in. And at number 6, I've got Sounds Like This, the band's third album from 1973. After A Tab in the Ocean, they decided they wanted to go a little more freeform, a little more freewheeling. There's a lot of improv here. Apparently, most of the stuff was done live in the studio, like on 2 days, like 2 separate days where they just went in the studio and just laid tracks down with minimal overdubs. Not a lot of super duper progginess here. At times, the band does sound more like Uriah Heep than Nektar, but there's some fantastic tunes on here, man. Good Day, New Day Dawning. What a good way to start the album. What You Gonna Do is, kind of a basic song, but I like it. And then you got the long tracks. A Day in the Life of the Preacher is like 13 minutes long, and Odyssey's 14 minutes long. Fantastic. I love this album, but they just get better from here at number 5. Let's talk about the debut album, Journey to the Center of the Eye from 1971, the album that got it all started. And I love this one, man. If you like Pink Floyd, you will love this album. It's a great album. Even though it's ID'd and broken up into separate songs, separate tracks, it's really just one long song. And then like the last minute of side 2 is the first part of side 1. So it creates a loop, a continual loop, which probably didn't mean a whole lot back in the old days when you had to flip the album around. But for CDs and, streaming, that's actually very cool. Some highlights on here include The Astronaut's Nightmare. Awesome. Countenance, so good, man. The Dream Nebula, Warp, Oversight. Yeah, there's elements of Cream and Deep Purple mixed in with the Pink Floydisms. And I contend this is their most German sounding record. There's a little bit of krautrock in here. Even though Nektar's not krautrock, this album's kind of got a little bit of that in it. Just superb. Awesome. At number 4, the band's 5th album from 1974. It's Down to Earth. After, doing Remember the Future and all that, spacey stuff. This was, just like the album title would indicate, a little less complexity in the music, a little less of the, spacey kind of stuff, but it still tells a story. It's a, compelling piece with, Bob Calvert from Hawkwind playing the ringleader. Some great songs on here. Astral Man. Fantastic, one of their better songs ever. Early Morning Clown, love it. Nellie the Elephant, Fidgety Queen, and of course, the song that George Jefferson was dancing on in the Jeffersons was Show Me the Way. That's on this album. Just fantastic. The only thing I don't like on here is Oh Willie. I can kind of do without that, but oh well. Anyway, oh man, the top 3. These Nektar's top 3 albums, man. So good. I give all 3 of these a 10 out of 10. And at number 3, I'm going with their 6th album from 1975, Recycled, telling the story of, an environmentally friendly kind of tale, I guess. It's basically 2 long suites. Side 1's got some cool stuff like Automaton Horoscope and Unendless Imagination. But to me, it's side 2 that really brings this album up, man. Side 2 is fantastic, and the band is playing almost all of side 2 on their latest tours. Sao Paulo Sunrise, Costa del Sol, Marvelous Moses, it's all over. Just fantastic, man. Fantastic record. And you get Larry Fast on this record, too. So he adds and contributes synthesizers and stuff. Very cool. At number 2, Nektar's second best album. I'm going with their second album from 1972, A Tab in the Ocean. This would probably be Steve Harris from Iron Maiden's favorite album, since 2 of these songs ended up being covered by Iron Maiden, which is infinitely cool in so many ways, because you guys know how much I love Iron Maiden and I love Nektar, so it's a marriage made in heaven for me. But there's only 4 songs on here, man. Desolation Valley / Waves, incredible. Crying in the Dark, incredible. King of Twilight, incredible. And side 1 is all Tab in the Ocean, the title track. Yeah, it doesn't get a whole lot better than A Tab in the Ocean, does it, boys and girls? Well, actually, it does with my number 1 Nektar album. And you know what it is. It's Remember the Future. It's the album that kind of, sort of, halfways broke them in the U.S. in that The album actually hit number 19 on the Billboard charts, which is, crazy. But, the thing that appealed to me was one song per side, actually, one song cut across two sides, like Thick as a Brick or a Passion Play. Side one's 16 and a half minutes, side two's 19 minutes, and it's just perfection, man. Yeah, is Nektar like super duper heavy duty prog? Not really. They've got elements of space rock and krautrock and blues rock and so many different things. But when Nektar was on top of their game with albums like Remember the Future, Recycled, and A Tap in the Ocean, they were as good as anybody else in the world, and they're not slowing down. Derek Moore still got the band going. The brand new album is outstanding. And yeah, that's Nektar week, man. I really, really enjoyed this.